which UK city should I work in? This is a great question. It was one that I think I answered probably last year, and I want to go into this in a little bit more detail. No, it doesn't particularly matter. It's really about supply and demand and also cost. So something to bear in mind is London, of course, is world famous. A lot of people want to work there, but it is very expensive. And that's got nothing to do with being an international student. I mean, I can remember a member of staff who worked for me, and she used to live near Canary Wharf. This is a couple of years ago now, and I was shocked. She paid £1,000 a month just for a room. And I think if you live in London, then you wouldn't be shocked. I'm born and raised in London my whole life. I grew up in Southeast London. I just thought that is extortionate. Personally, that's the reason why I chose to live outside of London. I live in Kent because I enjoy it more. There's more space and things are cheaper. And luckily for me, I have a business that I don't have to be in London to do that. And the thing to think about here is that as you move further north, up from, say, London to Edinburgh, Edinburgh is also quite expensive. Things do get cheaper. And we've seen this with big businesses, PwC and HSBC moving to Birmingham, Bank of America and JP Morgan being based out of Cheshire, Morgan Stanley, and I mean their operations departments, Morgan Stanley basing themselves outside of Glasgow. A lot of companies have chosen to move outside of London, and we would say that would probably accelerate, particularly post-COVID-19. A lot of offices, they had to be deserted, and as people are going back to work, a lot of big companies are realizing they don't need to be forking out absolutely extortionate rents for these offices when people can work from home, from co-working spaces. The one thing that you have to bear in mind as an international student is the minimum salary you need to get paid to get a skilled worker visa, which I believe is about £20,565 at the minute. It's really not that much. I think that's about £10.50 an hour, something like that. But you want to be on the lookout for this, particularly, say, for example, if you go between Manchester and Glasgow, the cities in between, you really want to be keeping an eye on salaries. I've seen big companies paying like about £18,000 a year. And the thing is, that's not going to meet the minimum. And bearing in mind, there is a different minimum salary for different job roles, which you can find if you look up SOC codes or standard occupational classifiers. So an auditor isn't going to be paid the same as a marketing manager, as an administration assistant. These are all different things. So you want to think about what is the minimum salary you need to get sponsored for the role that you're applying for. It's safe to assume that most large companies pay above and beyond. Average graduate salary in the UK is about £28,000 a year, which is plenty of room for you to play with as a graduate. Other things to think about is just the cost of living. Apart from Edinburgh, say for example, if you're living in Glasgow, Manchester, Birmingham, Cambridge is also quite expensive, Reading, Milton Keynes, so on and so forth. These places are going to be significantly cheaper, not just for cost of living in terms of rent, but also travel. You know, if you're living in London and you're having to travel around London on a daily basis, you could be spending, you know, 10, 15, 20 pounds a day. That's something that really adds up quite quickly. So if you're choosing which UK city to work in, yes, of course, London is always going to have the greatest amount of jobs in the UK. But there are a lot of cities out there who have some great opportunities. For example, Cardiff, Bristol, Birmingham, Leeds, Liverpool, Manchester, Reading, and a lot of big companies have multiple offices based all around the UK. And you will find competition is lower for jobs which are based outside of London. That's something important to bear in mind when you're thinking about deciding where you want to work. And what I'd say is, you know, choose multiple options. So apply for some jobs in London, some in Birmingham, some in Leeds. Like, don't just get fixated on a particular city. And if you do have your heart set on London, just recognize it is going to be super competitive. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Wish you the best of luck about your interview. Don't forget, we release 3 videos a week. There's plenty more past the interview videos coming from world famous companies. Subscribe to the channel. Make sure you get notifications signed up. Hit a like on this video and drop us a comment down below on what video you'd like us to see next. Bye.